Welcome to Colombia. This semester our theme is going to be the seed bank and its relation to ecological restoration. In order to get into these themes, I want to tell you a story about what happens all too often with good intentioned people wanting to plant trees. Here in Colombia we have a phrase, tumbar monte para plantar árboles. That means cutting down the forest in order to plant trees. It sounds silly, but it happens all the time. And it's because people don't recognize the value that's in the seed bank. Now, I want you to look around me right now. What do you see? There's a lot of trees here. How many of them did we actually plant? It's less than you think. Now, when you come onto a new space, one of the things that we recommend, and the way we started here, is we didn't cut down anything unless we knew what it was. Now, one of the first things that we were able to identify were things like grasses. We were able to cut the grasses, Poaceae family, and grasses are generally invasive. Some of them are native, some of them are from other parts of the world, but we can cut down grass and eliminate them with several different techniques that don't include poisons. Another one is this helecho, the fern. We know what this is, we can cut it down, it'll grow back. But then we get into herbs. Now, some of the native herbs, like this, are actually nitrogen fixing. This is an amor seco. This is a nitrogen fixing plant. And once I know what it is, I can feel very good doing a chop and drop method. I can cut it down, it'll grow back, and it'll be fixing nitrogen in my soil. But as we get up to the woody bushes and trees, all of a sudden things start appearing. And we're going to show you how to identify these things as they're small, tiny. Because these are our best friends. These are the pioneering species of the secondary forest. I'll give you an example right here. I'm standing next to a lombricero, a tree that we never planted. This tree was planted most likely by a bird. Now, the definition, textbook definition of seed bank are species that already exist in the soil, but I also include species that exist in the environment and can be transplanted into your system by birds. This tree is a pretty high value secondary species in the forest. It prefers to grow under the shade, semi-shade. It's not one of the first ones that'll appear, but it's pretty high value. It's got good quality wood. And it would be silly of us, how silly would it be, to cut this down to plant a different type of tree. We also have here this one, cabo de hacha. Cabo de hacha, again, we never planted this. This was planted by birds. We also have behind here, we've got a chilco. You can see the chilco here. Chilco is one of the first pioneering species that appear in degraded land. We didn't plant it. It has a very small seed that floats on the wind, and it arrives to degraded territories, and it's one of the first ones that appears. Behind me you can see neguitos, you can see espaderos, you can see other species of plants that we never planted. Here's an example. This is a chilco rojo, the red chilco, cousin of the white chilco. And this is actually a bush, but it's a woody shrub, right? It's got a wood stalk, and you can tell that this is a woody shrub. It doesn't grow very much, but it'll actually die after it seeds. But the whole plant doesn't die, just this stalk. And it'll send up new sprouts. You can keep it pruned. But this guy is in charge of helping to restore the soil. We never planted this. So when we come into a new area, we don't know what species it is. I can give you all sorts of names. I'm very familiar now, and we're very familiar with the plants in this local area. But we're going to travel to a couple different ecosystems this semester, and we're going to be in areas where we don't know all the names, but we're going to use the same ideas. We're going to look for woody shrubs and trees. These are our pioneer species. These are the plants that are trying to do the restoration work already. We're going to count them as allies. And if we want to plant certain species of trees, we're going to look to do so in the shade of other pioneering species. Now, when an area naturally restores itself, it's called a secondary forest. And a lot of the trees that we associate with primary forest, the high value hardwood trees, they really don't grow very well unless they're underneath a canopy of secondary forest trees. They need to be planted in the shade, not in direct sunlight. And so what happens often here in Colombia, people will cut down these low value bushes and trees and plant high value primary forest trees like cedars and pines. And these trees, tabiabuya, these trees will grow, kind of be dwarfed. They'll grow very short. They'll start to branch too early. They'll be 2, 3, 4, 5 meters tall, and they'll feel like the highest, tallest tree around. But if we leave these pioneering species, the yarumos, the chilcos, the lombriceros, these trees will sense the presence of a canopy. They'll grow, they'll be more comfortable, they'll grow faster, they'll grow taller, they'll grow straighter, and they'll become those tall, straight hardwoods that we know about. And so these are some of the concepts we're going to be dealing with this semester. The other benefits of allowing these pioneer species to exist include all the ecosystem services that we're going to be talking about this semester. And so there's a lot to talk to you about, but I wanted to just open the door for you all into the seed bank and how we're going to be dealing with restoration. We're going to be using nature as our ally. We're going to be identifying the woody shrubs and trees that are already in the space, and we're going to be identifying how they can help us restore these native ecosystems.